Alrighty guys, look who's back, the
I'm
main
here.
man Gary, and I'm getting me first coaching lesson today. So we're going to get into it. Gary wanted me to calm down on the videos a little bit, but I had to have a chat and said, I don't know about that. So we worked all that out, and the videos are going to be going while the coaching's happening and the improvement's happening. So I'm all happy, everybody's happy. So Gary's going to start to talk you through some stuff that he plans on changing.
I might just elaborate a bit on the video side of what Jimmy said. I want to video it because I want you guys to watch, but I didn't want the distraction of the live thing. I see the live thing and it's good to watch, but I didn't want the distraction. I wanted his complete concentration so that we can get into a point and get to a stage where his technique is where I want it, and then he can have those distractions. We'll do probably, I don't know, we'll see how we go through 2 or 3 videos that we'll record for his coaching sessions, and then we'll do some live coaching ones, so then you guys can have an opportunity to put your questions to me if you like, or feedback on what we're doing, because I believe then Jimmy will be at a point where he's got the technique in there and the distractions won't create a problem. I've been watching Jimmy's videos all this week with the PSE, and I've been sitting on my lounge going, I've got to get to him before he gets into too many bad habits. But I made a whole list of notes that I want to put out there, a lot of issues that have risen, not concerns, but things with the bow that have come up from questions from you guys. Stuff that I got a notepad down here that I'm going to address a lot of the things that have been brought up during those videos. So maybe clarify things and let you guys know a bit more information on them. Now Jimmy's new PSE, I've just had a look at it. It's a nice looking unit, there's no question about it. One thing I think Jimmy didn't mention in regards to the cams, it's got like a binary equalizer system like the Bowtech brought out. So basically what that means is that all your cables go back onto your cams, not onto the limbs of the bow. So that means your cam synchronizing and you stop, it never goes out of whack, and that's brilliant. That's the best way to do it. Bowtech had the Old Glory, one of the bows I shot probably 15 years ago, had the same thing. And then for whatever reason they went away from that and went to the old style with the strings off the side of the limbs, which creates your synchronizing issues and your cam lean issues. So I don't know why they do that, but PSE have seen the light and they've gone back to that system, and it's great. It just makes it so simplistic. You don't have to worry about your synchronizing anything like that. That was only one thing I wanted to mention about the PSE. Other than that, it's yeah, I want one. No, I like my OK, I must say. Very similar in idea to the OK with the way it works, but and the balance and particularly with the knocking point in the centre of the string and the handle lower. Obviously it works the other way with the handle there and there because Greg shoots well with his. But to me, I think this just makes sense. It feels nicer. The parallel limbs, it gives you a completely different feel on release. It's really hard to explain. It's like the Hoyts work, there's no question. We can't bag them because Greg shoots one and he shoots brilliantly. It's more about the feel of the bow and the satisfaction of it. These parallel limb bows and modern ones, they just feel beautiful, like I find with my OK. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a bit of a chat with Jimmy first of all, just address a few of the things that I want him to do. Look, to be honest, there's not a lot in Jimmy's technique that I want to change, or not so much change, but maybe mould a little bit. It's more about getting him focused at that point when he's shooting the arrows. Switch on, shoot the arrows, then switch back off. That's the most important thing when you're trying to coach somebody. When you get to a level coaching, particularly a guy like Greg at his level, or another lady I coach, you become more of a psychologist or a psychiatrist more so than the physical archery coach, because the technique's there. You're more working on what's going on inside their head and keeping their positive attitude. That's what I find at this point anyway. But what I want to do with Jimmy, the only thing I really want to address today, a couple of things maybe, is when he draws, I want to get his draw cycle more smooth and more fluid. He has settled down a lot with this, I've noticed, and your release is a lot cleaner too.
Is it?
Yeah. What I want to try to get him to do is start his whole draw cycle at that point, and then just make it a fluid movement. You used to rip the Hoyt back real hard, which is why the hip was being thrown forward. I spoke to Jimmy about the hip issue. I really feel it's the weight of the bow which is creating the hip forward motion, because he's got such weight on it. He has to push the body forward to move his centre of gravity, basically, because if you've got that heavy weight out here, you can't hold it up. So I think the hip forwards is purely from the weight that he's got. Whether he's going to concede and take a bit off, I don't think so. I might have to live with a hip forward. I don't like it purely because in archery or in any sport, whether it be golf, cricket, tennis, whatever you want, your posture is the basis of your technique. Your body's got to be straight in your form with that as that platform for the correct technique. Because what happens if you get a bit of movement forward if you're straight, you're straight. You can feel it and see it. If you've got a bit of movement in your forward in your hip, there's variations of how much you end up, and you end up in different positions each time. But you've got to be consistent in that. And I know we always talk about Rio Wild and what he does. Okay, it works for him. I don't know what else to say. I'm not going to criticise the man, but it works for him, and different things work for different people. One thing in particular that I can elaborate on that, Jimmy shoots and Greg shoot with quite a stiff bow arm. I can't do that, whether it's because of my makeup compared to Jimmy and Greg. Both Jimmy and Greg shoot quite stiff with a bow arm, and they have a good release. I find if I have a stiff bow arm, straight away my arm does this. I can't do it. I tend to roll my shoulder and just put a little bend in my elbow. That way when I release, I've got a bit of forward projection on my arm. Again, that's a thing that works for Jimmy and works for Greg, so I'm not going to touch that. I'm looking at the draw length videos, part in the videos when he's talking about his draw length.
Stupid camera's flipping out.
What's it doing?
It's going.
Oh, is it?
Focus.
Focus, is it?